Sills, as we've been saying all week, Super Bowl week, you get a lot of great storylines for your particular football team, Bills, Eagles, Steelers, what have you. You get a lot of great storylines. It's the greatest sporting event in American sports is clearly the Super Bowl. It's no longer just a sporting event. It's more of a television event. And that's why networks, that's why streaming, that's why online is just absolutely taking off. I mean, there's nothing like it. There's just nothing like it. You know, I was listening to Steve Young live from Media Row. Now it's no longer Radio Row, it's Media Row. And, you know, he was talking about the two quarterbacks, Brock Purdy and Patrick Mahomes. Two different stories, huh? It's incredible, the storylines that you have with both those guys. One guy's going for his place in history, and the other guy's looking to make history. You know, I mean, the money, the underdog story. Are you rooting for Brock Purdy? Are you pulling for Patrick Mahomes? And Steve Young said this, and this goes down the line of Jalen Hurts here. Do you think Philadelphia is a place that quarterbacks want to play? Steve Young named 5 NFL teams that he'd want to play for today. Do you think Philly's one of those? Do you think if you were a prospect, because again, I heard Tone and Rob talking about Patrick Mahomes. And by the way, if Patrick Mahomes lands in Chicago, is Patrick Mahomes Patrick Mahomes? No. He lands with Andy Reid. You line up the stars together, and you know what you get? You get magic. Montana and Walsh. Kyle Shanahan. Brock Purdy. Could Brock Purdy go to the Raiders like Garoppolo and be a star? I don't think so. Okay? Here's the deal what you have. He named these 5. Steve Young named these 5 football programs that he would want to play today at. He says there's only 5 places that you can land and get proper schooling. And now that you probably have Jim Harbaugh in the room with Greg Roman, you know what you have now? You have another team. I think it's 6. Kansas City, San Francisco, the Rams, Green Bay, Miami, and the Chargers. Those are the only 6 places that if I was a quarterback coming out of college that I'd want to play at. Why? Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Mike McDaniel, and Jim Harbaugh. The rest of them, it's going to be hit or miss. You see, we were talking about the drafting of quarterbacks yesterday and how in the last decade, only one quarterback has won a Super Bowl in the last decade, and that's Mahomes. And 29 quarterbacks were drafted in the first round. Only one has won, and only 3 have gone. You have to land where the coach is that can get the best out of you. That's in anything. How many times? Hey, I can't tell you in my media business, you can have the greatest show on the planet. You know, I'm in Tampa for 15 years. I had the head of programming behind me. I had the program director, my friend. We were selling the show hand over fist. We're making $175,000 a month. Everything was great. I wanted to think grass was greener on the other side. And so what did I do? I went to a place that had shitty management, shitty people, shitty salespeople. You got to line the stars up. Grass isn't always greener. You got to find good people around you to succeed. That's why, to me, it's not so much about drafting a good quarterback. Do you have the stars aligned? Philadelphia doesn't have anything aligned with a coach that's going to develop you as a quarterback. Nick Sirianni's not going to develop you as a quarterback. Will Kellen Moore? Okay. I'll tell you one thing Kansas City's figured out also. What do you think the magic with Kansas City is? My guy Tone brought this up a couple days ago, kind of. But what do you think Kansas City's figured out? They figured out the coaching. It's Teflon. Spagnuolo's not getting a job. You would call him one of the top 2 defensive coordinators in the game. Andy Reid's one of the top 2, if not the best, head coach, signal caller, and play caller in the league. And it's Teflon. Patrick Mahomes is going to have the same D coordinator and the same head coach for a decade. What quarterback is going to have that behind him? How many coordinators has Jalen Hurts been through already? How many coordinators on both sides of the ball? Especially in this evolution of the NFL where you're constantly looking for the new young guy. Kansas City has figured out the dynamic in coaching. Joe Montana had Bill Walsh for his entire coaching career. Bill Walsh had him. He had Steve DeBerg early, but then when he saw that Montana was the guy, the luxury of having him, coaching him. Look at Belichick, same thing. As much as people think Bill's not a great offensive-minded guy, how could you not be considered the greatest defensive-minded guy in the world if you don't know what offensive guys are thinking? I never got that. Bill's not really an offensive-minded guy. Well, how can that be? He's coordinated against Peyton Manning and beat him. He's coordinated against some of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history and beat him. How could he not be an offensive-minded guy as well? Right? Okay. So here, let's take this to Vic Fangio. How many people like the hire that the Eagles have made with the defensive coordinator? Hey, for the record, I do too. For the record, I like it. How many people like the hire of Vic Fangio? Shane Steichen was the first coordinator that Jalen had for more than 1 year since high school. He's only had him 2 years. Okay? I'm with you, CJ. I like the hire a lot myself. Fire Fangio? I'd like to see what he could do first before we run down there. I got to see the play on the field. Scott, that's fair. But let's take a look at this. Do you remember Brian Johnson, your offensive coordinator? Here was his game plan against Vic Fangio when the Miami Dolphins were healthy and they had a bunch of good players on the field. This is what Brian Johnson and Jalen Hurts did to Vic Fangio this year. They put up 26 points on the Dolphins. By the way, Sean Desai held the Dolphins offense to 12. Total yards. Eagles put up 355 yards on Vic Fangio's defense. Held the Dolphin high-powered offense to 244. Pretty good job, Sean Desai. Eagles didn't run the ball very well, and I don't really think they ran the ball well at all year. 99 yards. Sean Desai held the Dolphins, who had running backs that were on pace for 1,000 yards apiece before they got injured, to 45 yards rushing. Here's what Jalen did in the game against Vic Fangio, the new D coordinator of the Eagles. 23 of 31, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 109.5. Will we not say that's one of his better games of the year? Swift had 62 yards rushing, about 4.5 yards a carry against Vic Fangio's defense. And A.J. Brown had 137 yards receiving on 10 catches with 1 touchdown. Looks to me like the Eagles ate them up and Vic Fangio's defense. So I'm optimistic. But this was an offense, again, I would probably say that the Miami game could have been the Eagles' best game. Okay? That could have been your best game, even better than Buffalo and Kansas City. You could make the argument that was the best game. But they ate them up, man. They did. They pretty much ate them up in that football game. So what is Vic Fangio going to do with that defense, with the personnel that he has there now? I don't really think this is going to be about Vic. This is going to be more about Howie and Howie Roseman and how Howie Roseman retools that football team. I mean, I really don't see this as a quick fix. I mean, the team went against Vic, and Vic had decent personnel. I would say that the Dolphins had better defensive personnel than what the Eagles had, and the Eagles killed it. They got player issues in Miami as well. Same as Philly. But I'm going to say it one more time to you. Guys, this is not going to be a quick fix for Vic Fangio. I heard Rob and Tone talking, and I heard Rob, I think, paraphrasing here, say that he could turn this thing around quick. I do not believe that. I do not believe that you can fix that thing in 1 year. You know what happens? When you suck, here's the worst thing to happen to the Eagles this year. The Eagles sucked at the end of the year, but they still had a good record. So you're going to have a good schedule that you're going to have to play against quality quarterbacks. You're not really an 11-win team. You're more like a 7-win team. But the schedule that you're going to play is not going to reflect that. That's why you're going to have a down year. Another down year is because you're going to be playing high-quality quarterbacks. You're really not the 11-win team. You're the 1-7 team at the end of the season. Again, folks, I'm not sitting here trying to poo-poo anything here. What I'm telling you is you better have some patience on this. This is a thing where you need patience. If you're going to think that this is just going to be a quick fix. Okay? It's not. This is not going to be a quick fix. I'm going to look at the roster here in a second, and I'm going to tell you where they're going to be in a lot of trouble this offseason if they do not do different things here. Okay? You know, I heard something. And by the way, I'm going on with Bill tomorrow. Colarulo, I'm going on with him. And by the way, Bill, I know you watch the show. I watch yours too. Hey, Bill, for me going on, Big Seals is going to get free attorney consultation for the rest of my my life. That's the price you pay. Big Seals is like a barter guy. You know, I'll do free food stamps, and I'll do like discount cards, whatever it needs. You know, Big Seals is a barter guy. So I look forward to doing that with Bill tomorrow. But I heard Bill say something about Jason Kelce, that Bill wouldn't pay the $10 million to bring Jason Kelce back. This is fundamentally flawed thinking. He said, take the personality and the passion you have for Jason Kelce. See, I don't personally give a shit what the name of the player is. Is he playing well? Is he good? And can the guy still perform? And is he the best at his position? I don't give a shit how old he is when you're playing at that level. Brandon Graham's out. Fletcher Cox is not a $10 million guy. He's out. Fletcher wants to take less money, and I wouldn't if I was Fletcher. I'd go to Cleveland and get $10 million. You have too many holes on that side of the ball. You have to restructure Hassan Reddick's deal. But let's stick with Jason Kelce here. A, is Jason Kelce the best center in the league? Yes. Bill's contention is you're paying $10 million for a center. That's the second most important position in the offensive huddle. You're damn right. If I'm spending $50 million, show me a great quarterback where you don't have a great center. Are you going to move Landon Dickerson over there? Because Cam Jurgens, putting an experimental guy in there, I don't know about that. That's a cliff dive is what we call in the locker room. You put Cam Jurgens in, you go from a 10 to a 4. The tush push goes away. Jason Kelce is the tush push, not Jalen Hurts. Because when Jason Kelce was with Carson Wentz, you want to hear a stat? They were 29-27 on quarterback sneaks. He is the tush push. It's him. Carson Wentz was 29-27 on fourth down plays for 1 yard or less when they needed it. He is the tush push. So instead of playing in a series 3rd and 9, you go back to 3rd and 10. Okay? I mean, I don't care who Jason Kelce is. Okay? 27-29. Thank you. Okay, I didn't know you were a statistician, Bob, but I appreciate it very much for the correction. Jesus criminy. We got English teachers and mathematic majors in here. Excuse me, dude. You know, I'm kind of sitting at a bar. Hello? Welcome to the Big Sills bar. Relax, Bob. I know you're kidding. We're good. Okay. I mean, oh, he said 29-27. What a stickler. Huh? What a stickler. You didn't, because there's a guy in the market that I have to be careful on my paraphrasing, my quoting, or somebody gets their panties in a bind and they run to my boss. Hey, did you see what Sileo quoted? Kind of paraphrasing? Shut up. Shut up. Okay? Here's why you don't get rid of Kelce. Here's why you don't. Here's the case for it. He's the best player at that position in the league. It's the most important offensive position in the offensive line next to left tackle. You have the third best left tackle in the game, and you have the best center in the game. If you take that center out, so you're going to put a brand new coordinator in there, you're going to take out and put an inexperienced center in, and you're going to think your offense is going to turn around without having a guy making line calls, and you're going to put Cam Jurgens in there to make offensive line calls where he's never made line calls in an NFL football game at center with your $50 million quarterback. Not me. Look at the center in Kansas City. He's a Pro Bowler. He's a Pro Bowler. You have to have. You show me a good team with a shitty center. That'll be the first team I've ever seen. Okay? If you want to get that offense going in the right direction, you should drop to a knee and get on your knee and beg him to come back. I don't give a shit if he's 54 years old. If you're still the all-pro, guys, do you know what all-pro means? Hey, and by the way, I heard Bill say, well, Father Time will catch him. It might. 75% of Jason Kelce is better than 95% of any center in the league. That's a hard position to find. I would make the contention to you that finding a center is the second most difficult thing finding a left tackle. They're not out there. They're just not out there. As a matter of fact, you know what you do to a guy like Jason Kelce? You run that horse till that thing becomes lame. But Sills, aren't you worried about his health? No, the league's not. I want him to play as long as he wants. It's his decision to play. No one else's. Since when do we give a shit about players' health? When you start having empathy, when you know the owners don't have empathy, that's where you fall in problems. You make emotional decisions. Caring about somebody's health? Really? Extra Thursday games, overseas games, adding to the schedule of games. Really? Wake me up when they give a shit. Playing surfaces. They'll rip, I said yesterday, they'll rip the playing surface up for those guys that play soccer. But they won't give a shit about the NFL guys, and they'll put down your mom's flooring for the guys to play on. Yeah, they care. Okie dokie. I'm not getting rid of Jason Kelce. He's one of the first things I have to address. I want that guy back. Cam Jurgens, unless you're going to put Landon Dickerson in there, because he was drafted initially to be a center, I might take a look at that, if that's where you want to go. But Cam Jurgens versus Jason Kelce, and I've got to turn Jalen Hurts around. I want the best center in the league. Oh, I have him. And then you turn around, and believe me, you and I, Tone, we always do this because we have to start with money. Bill's right. You got to start with money. Don't ever start with ability. Start with the money. $10 million for Jason Kelce is a drop in the bucket when you get the production. Jason Kelce gives you $20 million of production. He's worth the money. It's not like he's not living up to the dough. Sign a one-year deal with him. Sign a one-year contract with him. Give him a shitload of the money up front, and you front-load it. Make him have a $1 million contract. Give him $9 million. He deserves it. He deserves the money. Hey, if there's one thing, if you had a $10 million contract, I'll tell you this, if Jason Kelce was 4 years younger and he wasn't talking retirement, he'd get $18 million on the open market. His market value would be like $18 to $20 million if he was 2 years younger. Okay, 11 goes like this. Kelce's not going to make the difference. That's such a shitty and stupid comment. When the center position is so hard, it is the most difficult. You're making line calls, blitz stunts, 43-34 shades, snap the ball, get out into perimeter up. How many centers have you ever seen in your life get to the third level? When it comes, how in the world have you ever seen a center get to the third level? All pro. And you want to put some dude, Campbell Soup in? Cam Jurgens? Give me a break. You're going to go from Jason Kelce to Cam Jurgens. Shit, you might as well put Tone at center. I mean, it'll be a cluster F. And you know it. And the $10 million for him, hey, the $10 million for Fletcher Cox ain't worth it. The $10 million for Kelce is completely worth it. How about this? Is Fletcher Cox one of the top 15 D linemen in the NFL? Yeah. At $10 million? Not me. Is Jason Kelce the best center in the league at $10 million? Yeah. That's for me. That's for me. He's the best. And Tone goes, hey, well, Tone goes, I think I'd do all right out there. He would. Cam Jurgens. Okay. Sure. Here. Let's do this. Because the money here is where you're going to have to go to try to retool your defense. And I wrote these cliff notes down as we're in this part of the offseason now because we got free agency coming up and how he has to look at this with his new coordinators. Let's start with the offense. Hurts, obviously. Just get better, kid. These are my cliff notes. And this is what I would be telling my coordinators and all my assistant coaches. Hurts has got to get better. Okay? And stop people saying, if you take the turnovers away, he had a bad year. You're compromising your integrity when you say that. He had a shitty year because of the turnovers and how the team fell apart at the end. If he had the turnovers that he had and they didn't go 1-7, then you kind of go, okay, he's kind of like Josh Allen. But he didn't. The team fell apart. And he fell apart with it. That's not a good year. Most people don't realize how important the O-line is, and the center is the most important in the O-line. Second biggest position behind the. I happen to think that too, Dirty D. I hear people making this comment. If you take the turnovers away, Jalen, you're compromising your integrity when you say that. He did not have a good year. You can throw for Kirk Cousins' numbers. You can do that. How many times have you shit on Kirk Cousins? So he had a Kirk Cousins year. Okay. Congratulations. Jalen Hurts had a Kirk Cousins year. Last year, you guys took a crap all over him. Okay. Dude, tell the whole story, not half of it or 10% of it or 90% of the story. That's the difference between us and everyone else. We tell the entire story. Okay? It was a down year, too many turnovers, and not enough leadership, and you fell apart with your team at the end of the year, Jalen Hurts. Case closed. Nothing else. Let's move on. DeAndre Swift. Well, unless Howie and Jeffrey Lurie make a decision to change their mentality on signing people, he's not back. This is why I say yesterday, Derrick Henry's at $4.3 million market value. I put Henry in there. And if you want to bring that clown Kenny Gainwell back, I don't know why you would, but they seemingly love him. Oh, I know why, because it's got to be a Howie guy. Him and Henry? Well, Henry's ran for 2,500 yards the last 2 years with 25 touchdowns. Shut your holes. Okay? And if you had any balls with yourself, Howie, you'd spend the $11 million on Swift and Henry, and you would have a formidable run game again. But see, get this, guys. Do you think the Philadelphia Eagles won? They didn't bring Kellen Moore in to be a run team. They brought Kellen Moore in to be more of a pass-happy team, which means to me to be more finesse. So the idea of bringing Derrick Henry in is out. They're not going to run the ball more. They want to throw the ball more. Can I tell you, I think I'm going to make a comment after we go all through this, but so you think Kellen Moore is going to help Jalen Hurts? Really? By running the ball less? Do you really believe that? They'll work on his footwork. Okay. How about this? You think Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl from the pocket and not dual threat that he is or was? You're changing the guy in front of him and in front of you on what you paid for. You paid for the 22 Jalen Hurts. Now you're trying to get further away from it. You hired a guy who believes in throwing the ball more from the pocket. I don't believe he can win a Super Bowl from the pocket. I think he has to beat you like Lamar Jackson does and Josh Allen. I think you have to win a Super Bowl in the pocket, but I think Jalen Hurts has to be Jalen Hurts, not Jalen. Taking half his game away from him. I just don't believe it. Swift could be by the way, Swift and say, with that kid Bush up in Buffalo would be great. But Swift's not a number one back. He's not. He's not a very good pass protector. And he's not very good in the red zone. He's a good player. I don't have a problem with him, but no disrespect. I agree with Jeff Kerr. DeAndre Swift was not an upgrade to Miles Sanders' performance last year. He wasn't. He just was not an upgrade. He caught a couple more passes, not a ton of yards, too, in those passes. And they were not as formidable running the ball and not as dominant. At the end of the year, they completely were dominated when it came to being outrushed. Okay? So at the end, do I mind moving off of DeAndre Swift? No, because I don't think he's not a physical guy. But then again, that's what they're morphing to. They don't want to be physical anymore. Okay? I mean, they're not going to want to run the ball more. If Kellen Moore can scheme wide receivers open to give Jalen easier throws, then it may be possible for Jalen to win from the pocket. Dirty D. What made Jalen's throws better, he was better in 22 as a passer than he was by far last year. And what made that happen? The threat of him running. He was a freaking force in open field. A force. And for me, if I'm a linebacker, I'm going to sit here and go, dude, I can't get deep. Because if I get deep, the kid's going to take off, get that 11-yard first down on me, break my back. We're still on the field. What happens then? Those pass routes are open more because those linebackers have to be situated. They have to be situated. Hey, greatest example was the NFC Championship game that they were in. Fred Warner and Greenlaw were in slow motion. Why? Because he froze them. They were playing from behind the entire game. They got into that game this year in the regular season. They were running like their hair was on fire to the ball, Greenwell and Warner. They got to the ball, and they were contact hitters in that ball game. If I'm ever evaluating the running back, the first question is asking, can he pass block? Correct. If he can't, I don't care how fast or talented he is. That's why that whole Rashad Penny thing never made sense to me. You paid a guy $2.5 million. He's the worst pass protecting running back in pro football. He was that in Seattle. That's why they went out and got Kenny Walker II from Michigan State, was because he can't pass block. He's always hurt. And the Eagles signed him to keep him away from Dallas. He's not good. That guy Carson, or whatever his name was, he was like a 5th or 6th round guy, beat him out every year. Why? Because he was a better pass protector. The Eagles pass protecting guys in the running back position is atrocious. It's just atrocious. Carlos goes, what's up, angry man? I'm in the greatest place of my life. Huh. Then again, I'd be angry too if my team got the shit kicked out of them at the end of the year. And I was 1-7, and I'm watching the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. I might be pissed too if I were you. But to me, hey, man, I just covered the team. I might be pissed too. You shouldn't be pissed at me, dog. You should be pissed at your team, the way the thing fell apart. Hey, right? Look at Tone's like, hell, I'm pissed. Doesn't it bug you this week? You're sitting on the couch not watching your team. When you were 10-1, how does that not get under your skin? Watching your team just melt like you were like the Wicked Witch of the West and Wizard of Oz. Doesn't it bug you? Boy, it wouldn't me. I guess the $1 million question is, will Kellen Moore adjust the scheme to Jalen's talents? Dirty D. You're going to see more of what you saw last year, just with a more experienced coordinator. That's what you're going to see. Okay? He'll adjust the scheme around Jalen. Adjust what? No. The only thing Kellen Moore is going to do is be a better feel for the game when it comes to play calling, and he's going to have a better route tree with his wideouts. Let me continue here. It gets under my skin so much that I refuse to make up lies. I'm calling it now as I see it. That's right, man. Hey, man, tell the full story. Well, take the turnovers away. Jalen had a good. Screw that. That's not true. You're compromising your takes in your own mentality when you say that. Hey, I read half the book. Half the book was really good. Ending wasn't really the best. Well, shit. Wasn't a good book then. The first 5 pages of the book were great. But the last 25 sucked. Is that how you read a book? Really? I look at the whole body of work. Who are you? Hey, you know what it's like too? It's like people forgetting the Jordan Washington Wizards small little era of his deal. Jordan did play for the Wizards. Shh. Don't say that. No, Jordan played for the Wizards. Did you forget? Yeah, no, we're not supposed to talk about that. Okay? No. Hey, my marriage is great, but she keeps beating my ass. Man, she's great. What a woman. Hey, man, my first year with my wife was fantastic. The past 39 have blown. Quite a marriage you got there, kid. She better have a lot of money, and you know what else. How you doing, right? All right, let's move on here. A.J. Brown. Great player. Owed a ton of money. Listen, we started that whole trade him deal. I'm looking to try to get money for the defense. Jalen is not that guy yet because he can't carry a team. It's not a rip. Brock Purdy can't. Relax. I'm probably hanging in there another year with him. So you know what you're going to do now? In the next or in the last, you count this year coming up, you will have given A.J. Brown $65 million because of your failure at Jalen Reagor. Do you hear me? $65 million. You miss on the player and the money. People don't look at it that way. Organizations do. $65 million. Sills, the production numbers are worth it. Yeah. But you lost the rookie contract with Reagor to help spread your cap money out. Dude, it's more than just missing a draft pick. It's the equity of years on rookie deals. And hitting on those rookie deals. They don't have to be superstars, but you got to hit on it. Like here, you're running out of time with Jordan Davis. You're going into the 3rd year now. He's only given you 8 games. Is that 13th pick validated? No. That 13th pick is not validated. The only reason that you're kind of okay with it is the money. Let's say this to you. Was it an upgrade, Jordan Davis, starting him and letting Hargrave go? Hargrave's in the Super Bowl. But still, we're paying him 20. Okay. You better hit on that kid. You better hit on him. Hey, what's his name goes like this, RTF, we're not trading him. Then you don't, your quarterback's not the guy. He's just not the guy. Kansas City Chiefs are in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row without Hill. They got Hill and Travis Kelce. And a guy they found in the 7th round or 6th round in Pacheco. That's it. And a bunch of other dudes. That's it. Once again, Kansas City goes into a Super Bowl with the inferior roster. How do they win? Coaching, quarterback, balance in the cap. There's so many great storylines with that Super Bowl. Purdy, $870,000. Can you imagine this? If he wins a Super Bowl at $870,000 and your contract kicks in with Jalen Hurts March 13th, and he's making 50, and that guy just made, and they got 2 more years with that guy at that number. The 49ers are going to be even better. 49ers are going to get better next year. Are the Eagles? DeVonta Smith. I see Xander behind the scene. Xander, I love him. I'm wrong. First question I keep telling everyone. Xander asked me, hey, dude, what do you make of DeVonta Smith being drafted by the Eagles? Wrong team. He's a shwimp. Well, that could be further from the truth. He's tough. He's a professional. He's ready-made. When you bought this guy off the showroom floor, that's it. It's like buying a Ferrari. Pininfarina, all the nice paint jobs in Pininfarina, Ferrari, got the Pirellis on it. This thing is a Ferrari. He is without a doubt a true professional. And in my opinion, if everything goes right and he doesn't have any catastrophic injuries, he'll be the greatest receiver in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's a marvelous, marvelous player. Just marvelous. He's tougher than I thought. He's more durable than I thought. His hands are freaking incredible. His route running and his tree running, they didn't utilize it last year. You had the best route runner in the NFL. And you know what they didn't do with him? They didn't give him quality routes. That's a letdown in itself in coaching. You gave all the premium pass routes to AJ, and you gave him the leftovers. Come on, man. And I have respect for Mike Quick, Slagger, but he's got better hands, runs better routes. Mike's a great player. He's better. Wide receiver number 3, 0 production. I'm not even going to go over the names because they're all nobodies. You know, do you guys play on offense with 10 guys versus 11 guys on defense? You play 10 versus 11 when you play out there. That's what makes it even more incredible. You don't even have like a guy out there that could be a decoy. You know, that's all they use Quez as decoy. Teams figured it out after a while. He's not. He has no hands. If you have a lot of speed and you have no hands, you're not a threat. Okay? Marshmallow Watkins doesn't fight for footballs. He's got brick hands, and the only thing he does is run fast. That's not a quality I want in my offense. I'm playing 10 versus 11. The guy's a cream puff. Seriously, man, you could beat that guy's ass with a pillow. I guarantee you, he could have boxing gloves, and I would kick his ass with a pillow. He's just not tough. So what are you going to do at wide receiver number 3? By the way, I draft a guy here. Hopefully I get a quality dude that has some decent hands. I don't want to spend money on W3. I don't want any money being spent on WR3. I'm going to draft a guy. But then again, how he blows at drafting wideouts. He's in his 24 years of being in charge of the draft or being involved with the draft. He's drafted 1 wideout. DeVonta. That's not an average I'm really happy about. Dallas Goedert, unreliable. When you're this is what they're doing. They're evaluating, like they're like talking about what they need to do to improve. Dallas Goedert's a fine ball player. But you know what I say to this? Hey, Dallas Goedert, you're a really good ball player, but you miss 25 to 26% of your football games every year. I'm not paying you $15 million for that. He's overpaid. Dallas Goedert needs to take a pay cut to stay on my team. He makes more money than Travis Kelce. Do you know that? He makes more money than Travis Kelce. That's not happening. This guy's a $7 million a year guy. He ain't no $15 million. Again, wasted money. Wasted money here. Silsey's good. Yeah, when he's healthy. Yeah, but Silsey broke his arm. I know, broken arm here, hamstring here, knee here, ankle here. It's always something with this guy. This guy's like a China doll. So again, at the end of the day, time to move off of Dallas Goedert here. That's right. He's Mr. IR. This guy's Mr. IR. Left tackle, Malata, third best OT in the league. Fantastic find. Tremendous football player, 6'8". The guy looks like he's 242 pounds and he's 342 pounds. He's insane great. This guy couldn't put a chin strap on. This guy couldn't put a chin strap on 4 years ago. And he's doing what he's doing. I make the argument he's the best player on your team and the best athlete on your team. Who does that? Hey, you know what? I think I'm just going to pick football up and be the third best OT left in the league. Who does that? Who does that? Name me a guy that just goes like this. You know, I think I'll play pro football. I think I'll play pro football and I'll be the third best left tackle in the league. You think there's a better athlete on your football team than him? Absolutely not. 6'8", 340, moves, can run. You could play him at tight. I'll tell you what, you might want to think of playing him at tight end. He could probably do both. You ever see his rugby highlight films? It's insane watching him play. Okay? Landon Dickerson. You know, initially they drafted him as a center. Okay? Drafted him as a center. He's outstanding. Fantastic ball player. Fantastic. Okay? Anthony, it's still, dude, I don't block anybody. I have no controls over anything. None. Okay? And for the record, I don't give a shit what they do behind the scenes to any of you idiots. 90% of you guys are awesome. Some of you guys are just dickheads. And whatever they feel like doing, I don't have a problem with. So for me, it doesn't bother me. I could care less. Box of rocks. Really doesn't bug me. My kid getting good grades and graduating in a couple months, that's what I care about. That's what bugs me if she doesn't. Other than that, whether or not some guy gets up out of his bed and waits for his 37,000 post that he'll put on there and stalks me all day, I don't really care about that. It's all good. End of story. It's funny, man. You guys really think you'll get to me like that? You don't. I don't care. I have no controls over anything. By the way, Tone, I don't even know how I would do that. I could barely get on my laptop. I have no idea about internet stuff. I have no idea how to do it. Nor do I care. But for some of you, I just had to address it as I digress and move on. How many people believe the Eagles should do what Bill Colarulo says? Move on from Jason Kelce. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that, my friend. Now, Bill's take's not a bad one. I just disagree with it. It's not a bad one. Okay? He wants to move on from an all-pro center. I want to move on from a $25 million wide receiver that won't help you win a Super Bowl. He thinks I'm crazy for A.J. Brown. Well, like I pointed out to everyone in tone here, did Green Bay get better when they got rid of DeVonta Adams? Yes. How about this one? Let's see. Did the Kansas City Chiefs get better without Tyreek Hill in their second Super Bowl in a row? They moved off top flight wideouts. And both teams are trending in the right direction. What's a $25 million wide receiver going to get you when you become predictable? One. Secondly, you're not balancing your cap. I mean, paying a wide receiver $20 million is useless. You think Justin Jefferson's going to win a Super Bowl making $30 million in Minnesota? Never. You think Tyreek Hill's going to win a Super Bowl in Miami, making $25 to $28 million? Never. Do you think DeVonta Adams is going to win a Super Bowl in Vegas, making $28 million? Never. Do you think A.J. Brown's going to make and win a Super Bowl making $25 million? Never. So what's the point? What is the point? What's the point? No. Jones, it's not just talk, it's facts. What are you talking about? It's not talk, it's facts. Packers got better without Adams. Did they not? Kansas City got better without Hill. Did they not? I mean, you don't really believe any of these wideouts are going to deliver Super Bowls, do you? And by the way, Deebo Samuel making the money he makes, the only reason that's feasible is because the quarterback makes less than $900,000. Now, if you want to pay a wide receiver $20 million and you're paying your quarterback $1 million or less thereof, $1 million, sure. Okay? Chris goes, 1 minute you call AJ a crybaby. He is a crybaby. But you say AJ can do whatever he wants because he's highly productive. Okay? Now you're saying you want to trade him. No. I said you might want to look into it. Yes. Thanks, Chris, for regurgitating my takes. Yes. AJ's a crybaby. Yes. He's productive. Yes. And you might want to move off him to retool your defense because it's about the roster, not about one man. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for bringing up all the takes because that's right. Are you suggesting that A.J. Brown's not a crybaby? Is that a false statement? Is it a false statement he's not productive? I'm not understanding what you're saying. You know, all things can be true, dude. You could be productive and a dick. Ask Aaron Rodgers. Not everything is in a box. Two things can be true. Two things can be true, dude. I'm not getting rid of Kelce. He's the best player at his position. Cam Jurgens, I like him. I do. I like him. Lane Johnson, A- year. Okay, A- year, still 99.9% better than everything in the league. Okay? Not the best season, but he set such a standard, it's incredible. So quite frankly, you got to figure out how to play 11 on 11. You got to do something with that WR3. You got to do something with your running game. Who would have thunk it? Your question mark's a running game and your wide receiver 3. I think Kellen Moore will fix that wide receiver 3. Do I think he'll address the run game? Nope. You know what I think they're going to do in the run game? They're going to draft a rookie. Maybe a couple rookies. And it's going to be by committee again. Okay? Now we get to the more difficult side. Shit, we got a ton. Look at it. I mean, we're not even into the topics yet. Okay? Wow. Brandon Graham, you're out. Here. Seals, am I willing to die on the hill that Hurts is the guy and that I would rather have a AJ because I don't trust Howie to trade him? No, that's a good take, Q. That's a good one. Sills. Oh, look at what Q's saying here. Sills. I'm going to sit on the hill with AJ with Hurts. My only problem I'm getting rid of. That's a freaking great take. Q. That's a great take. Could be your best. What Q's saying is this, Sills. I'm going to sit on this hill with him. But do you really believe that I think he could duplicate what he did with DeVonta Smith and get another guy in there to make sure Hurts' development continues to go forward? I'm not. It's a great take. It's a fantastic take, Hugh. You're right. I hadn't thought of that. That's a fabulous take. Okay? You're right. Do I? Hey, Sills, would you rather pay the money, keep the player, or would you rather have Howie have the picks that you want to get and the cap ability to move around? Do you trust both? No, I don't. What do you trust more? You're asking me to be fair? I trust AJ more. Q, you're right. You're thinking with common sense. You're right, dude. You're not just looking at the numbers. Sills, you think that guy's going to take that money and spread it out, draft a linebacker and safeties to really retool that defense and land on them dudes? And you think he's going to draft another wide receiver that's going to be productive on the other side of DeVonta Smith and get the same production out of both guys, or at least spread out the production? No, I don't. It's a great comment. You're right. So you're kind of caught in a pickle here. That's why, to me, what do you guys think the biggest job is this coming season for Kellen Moore and that offense? What do you think the biggest job is for him? And you're going to go with the low-hanging fruit. I know it is to help Hurts, right? That's important. But I think it's establishing DeVonta Smith more. They don't really establish him. He's kind of like a decoy. They need to get him more involved in the pass game. Well, Silsey's had it. No. He needs quality routes. He needs to have more targets. And if AJ doesn't like that, dude, you get paid every Tuesday $25 million. Whether you have 75 catches or whether you have 105 catches, shut up. Do your job. You can be as impactful on your team making high-quality catches. And it's not all about the numbers. I think you got to establish Smitty more, because you know what you'll do when you establish Smitty? Look at Bob. You cannot establish Smitty when AJ is the alpha. Yeah, you can. You know what you do? Shut up and sit down. Have some autonomy in the room with your being the OC. This is how we're doing this. It ain't about you, son. This is about the team spreading the ball out. That alpha shit, dude, I don't care. Where is that comment? Well, you know, this guy here is the more alpha guy. Dude, you're trying to not become predictable, Bob. 34% of the time the guy was targeted. Do you know what a defensive coordinator does? Think of this. Out of 65 plays, I know 25 of them are going to A.J. Brown. What am I going to do? Well, my strength of my defense is going to be wherever A.J. is. I'm going to shift my strength to him. And if you happen to throw one of those shitty route tree passes to DeVonta, don't you understand? You're trying to get the defense back into the middle of the field instead of tilted to one side. God, man. People look at the game way different than I do. The more people that touch the ball, the more dangerous Jalen will be. Not just the offense. We can't smother AJ with targets. The offense becomes one-dimensional, and you stunt the growth of your quarterback, and you're forcing tougher throws, and you're forcing turnovers. That's what happened. Hey, according to Bob, establishing AJ, Hurts had more turnovers. Congratulations, Bob. Your quarterback had the second most turnovers in the league because you were trying to establish AJ. AJ hurt him this year. He didn't help him. How did he help him? How in the world did AJ Brown help Jalen Hurts' growth this year? How did he help him? How did he help him? Well, AJ had really great numbers. Great for him. And you were 1-7. Anthony goes, we didn't get to a Super Bowl until we got AJ. No, you didn't get to a Super Bowl until you had a good coordinator in Shane Steichen. I'm not saying AJ wasn't a major part of that. He was. Okay? He was. By the way, our friend Rohan Marley, who couldn't make it yesterday, is going to join us at 3:30. One Love's coming out. One of the great sportsmen and one of the most interesting lives of all time. February 14th, the movie One Love's coming out. We're going to talk with our friend Rohan Marley. That'll be at 3:30. Our friend Tone will talk with us at 4:30. We got a ton of stuff to hit on. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go for